Okay, balance of powers. Thought I'd give some final thoughts on the game. Kind of what I think of it. Well, it's got some really interesting aspects to it, and I think really good ones. One, the playtime is reasonable. So now, granted, the game ended about a year early, but I put about, I don't know, 25 hours worth of game time roughly to get there. The game plays very smoothly because of the way, over here the economy works. You can't attack everywhere all the time. So you'll have these operational pauses in the game as you get low on cash, and you have to spend your money to rebuild units and do other things. So in that regard, it's very nice. It's smooth. It doesn't take a long time for most months. Some months just fly right by. Some turns are just nobody has money, and so things go very quickly. Talk about some of the other positives about it. A little bit this year, the economic system and the political crisis system, that works really well in this game to me. It does a nice job of balancing out and putting you, well, not balancing, putting you in the positions of these nations as far as, I want to attack, but I don't have the money, or I want to attack, but my political crisis is getting high. So I can't make poor attacks, and I can risk going into crisis. So there's that aspect, which is really nice, really gives you a good flavor, and I think a good simulative value. And I think the game overall is a good simulation of World War I. In terms of, of the combat, the economics, the naval effects, the blockade effects, the political effects, the flow of the campaign and how things work. You're not going to just knock out a major power, or even, like we saw down in the Balkans, you can't just go and blitzkrieg through in, a couple of months and knock them out. It's going to take a lot of time. It's slower development, for the most part. Now, even here, when the Allies, kind of blitz through Germany at the, during the summer and fall of 1917, it still wasn't like, they were just rushing straight to, to Berlin. It was, maybe gain a couple of hexes a month, or one hex, maybe two. And, so that was, it definitely has the feel of the era of how the combat works and how the campaigns unfold. The diplomacy, another thing I wanted to touch on, it's handled pretty simply. But, it works well, I think, in terms of gaining control of miners. The rules. Well, the rules are good for the most part. There's things I'm unsure about still that I don't know that are addressed, and, minor things, not things that are going to, keep you from playing the game. But there are some small things. I mean, there's some weirdness in some things in it. For example, there's really no rules for stacking different nationalities together, which seems a little odd. There's no penalty for it, as far as I can tell. Now, I'm not sure if, a bad combat roll with a multinational stack, if that affects everyone in the stack, if it just affects the person who's loses units or the person who spends money to engage in that combat. It doesn't really say. I ended up just playing that, everybody involved in it, has to make a die roll. It didn't really come up. I think maybe once it came up. So it wasn't that big of a deal. But then it gets weird with money too, as you see, just basically once you establish a line with, say, the Turks, Austria-Hungary, and Germany, I had the situation where the Turks were just funneling money to Germany, which seems strange. That doesn't seem like something yeah, maybe that would happen. Now, granted, Turks had the money because the Brits weren't putting any pressure on them in the Middle East or anywhere else. So I do like that it allows for a lot of different scenarios. You're not straitjacketed into the historical situation. Which is another good thing. There's no rules to say, well, you have to attack here or you have to attack there. You can choose how you want to do that, but the game provides that, makes that choice. Well, it doesn't make the choice for you, but it kind of encourages you to do it and kind of see why attacks were made that weren't maybe good attacks. For example, once Russia, was putting major pressure on Austria-Hungary, well, Germany had to respond. So Germany's over, doing a number on Russia, and well, then, the West had France and England. Well, we have to attack because if we don't, Germany's just going to overrun Russia, and we need the help. So it does a nice job of that, of giving you those decisions. As far as the main mechanisms of the game or the core of the game, I like pretty much all of them: the naval, the combat, the diplomacy, economic model, political model. The one that I don't like, and I have a real kind of gripe with, is the technological aspect. So the TI here, there's a couple things. One, it was really, it hit really quickly. So for the Central Powers, they hit this, November, December 1915, and they've got, TI, I think they were up to like here or something, 38, 39 attacks. And then the Entente a few months later, early into 1916, I think before even the spring offensives, hit theirs as well. I looked to see, am I playing some rules wrong? No. I mean, that's too early to kill the trench benefits. And the thing is, with the tactical innovations, you get all of it at once. So once you hit it, you get all the benefits of TI. There is no gradual buildup of the technology, which seems a little odd to me. This number seems really low. To me, it should be way up here, and there should be a tiered level, or I'd like to see a tiered level in it where, okay, you hit this number, you get one of the advantages against trenches. Then you hit this number, you get another advantage. So that it's a more gradual model of how the sides develop tactics to deal with trenches, rolling barrages and gas and infiltration and all that kind of thing. So I wish I would like to see this different. Again, these numbers are way too low. I mean, the trenches were done in 1916 in my game. And even if I'm attacked maybe more with each side than I should have, still you're going to see this hit, by the end of 1916 for both sides. And that's just too early to get all those advantages. At least I think. That's the way I felt about that. So this was a real disappointment, the technology, and tactical innovation aspect of the game. Other things, the miners are a little weird. There's some weird stuff going on. For example, every March you can build a unit, a core for each of your miners for free. So, for example, Montenegro was signed to France right away. Of course, Austria-Hungary took it. Well, then France is building a Montenegrin core back in France. It doesn't seem quite right. And that goes for any of the miners that they get that, and that those cores get built back in their assigned country. It's a little strange. The Japanese troops fighting in Europe, that definitely is, seems very odd. I mean, Japan wasn't, really interested in, sending its soldiers over to fight in the trenches. In the fact that they do, that just seems, like I said, seems a little odd to me, a little off. Or some of my other complaints with the game. Well, that's the major, major aspects of the game is the technology just, doesn't seem quite right in the game. The U.S. entry, be another, another thing I'm not pleased with. I had the U.S. enter in this game just because I wanted them to. But if I was playing, a competitive opposed game as Germany, Central Powers, I would never play that last unrestricted submarine warship. It gives you, basically it'll shut, Britain down for a season from being able to launch offensives. Which is, grant that's good, depending on the game state, but the effects after that are just going to be so severe, with the money the U.S. is going to funnel into Britain and France and their troops, which are very, very high quality, their navy, if Germany, if the Central Powers are playing a smart naval game, unlike how I handled it, that's going to be a big advantage. They have a bunch of mines, so they'll shut down the U-boat warfare. The U.S. will on their own by just mining, the exit areas with I think their mines are 4, so 50% chance of each U-boat taking a step, and mining also the ocean areas as well. So, I'm not happy with how that works, because to me it's too much control too for Germany. They know whether they come in or not, and I don't know. I mean, I think there could be a better way to handle that. The other thing I wasn't particularly pleased with was the pre-war, the crisis of July. I kind of talked about that. That to me needs reworking. Let's see if I can pull that up here. I mean, I went through it a lot, and it's just, it's easily gamed. Let's see if I can find it here. And some of the choices just don't even, make much sense. So, like here, you can either take 2 war guild or 1 war guild. Well, I mean, you don't want war guild, so why would you ever take the 2? There's no, I don't know. And as I said earlier, you can keep Britain out of the war if it goes all the way to here. So that's really going to force the Entente roll, force a powder keg roll, so the war starts later. But I mean, overall, I was looking for this to be like the strategic World War I game I wanted, and it is. I mean, it is compared to what I've played so far. I think, it gives an overall great sense of simulation, along with, an enjoyable game system to play. Look at a couple of others here. Paths of Glory, I played that a lot back when it came out. I probably, 20, maybe not a lot. People play hundreds of games of it, but, I probably played 20 to 30 games, face to face and online of it. And it's a competitive game. It's a very good one. It's a great game. One of the original card-driven games, and really explored the card-driven aspects. As a simulation, pretty low as far as what's happening. There's no economics. There's no naval. There's no just lots of lots of things that aren't there, and you're winning by usually fighting in Italy and Russia, in the Middle East, in the West Front. Just doesn't really matter a whole lot. So they, and things like I never saw the U.S. ever enter the war. I never saw the Russian Revolution because the way the game is set up, it's just too expensive to do that. You're better off spending your cards, on other things rather than that. But certainly a great competitive game and one of the kind of classic games in the hobby, really. It's Paths of Glory. Le Grand Guerre, I haven't played it yet. I've set it up a little bit just to look at it. I mean, I haven't set the whole game up. It'll take a long time, but I plan on playing this. It looks a lot, these two games look very similar, Balance of Powers, in many of the aspects, although Le Grand Guerre looks like, it's extremely detailed in each of the aspects than Balance of Powers is. Also, you're going to have much higher play time, much higher, just rules overhead. But it certainly looks, from what I've read, like something I would enjoy playing. Over here, another World War I game I played. This is The Great War in Europe. This is a division level game. And I only played it once. I played it, you know, a while ago, not long after it came out. And you know, it's a division level game. It's just painful to play. I mean, you know, you're just, you know, giant stacks of troops just everywhere, you know, sometimes too deep on a front. And, you know, the economics aren't, you know, everything's kind of extractive. There's no naval aspect.